my own man.
Since you can handle yourself like that, well, you're hanging with your boy now. How about that? I like how you kept it gangster.
Oh, yo, that's cool, man. Look, I do what needs to be done, you know?
Hello and welcome to my buried treasure review of Def Jam Icon. Def Jam Icon is the successor to Def Jam Fight for New York, one of my favorite underrated fighting games. This game has some similarities, but they mostly end at a couple of these facts. You can change your character, create your character, give yourself some tattoos, get new clothing, and look cooler, but that's where the similarity ends. This game's main drawing point is the musically charged combat. As you can see, the environment is thumping to the beat. If I throw him into a certain area of the environment, I can do a move like I'm scratching a turntable, and that will do an environmental attack. It's pretty interesting and a little weird, and it may seem like the game's really over the top, but the story is actually fairly grounded if overly dramatic. Now, the combat is really fun, but it can be really repetitive. The main faults of that is there really aren't any combos. You've got a low attack and a high attack, and then you've got, you know, two modifiers for each of the attacks. You know, a strong high attack or a weak high attack. And you can combine these to do some pretty cool moves, but for those combo junkies out there, there's not going to be a lot for them. There's some directional attacks using the right analog stick, which are pretty cool, like a cool tornado kick whip, depending on your fighting style. That is the other thing. The game has around 4 fighting styles that you'll unlock around the beginning of the game. And they're all pretty different, but what really made this game repetitive was the fact that the environments rarely change. As you can see, I'm fighting in a gas station. Well, I fought in that gas station on the first chapter at least 4 times. And while the levels are really well designed and the game looks great graphically, I mean, the game's nearly 4 years old, but it still looks really good. But still, I don't want to play in the same location every time. It gets boring and repetitive. Now, one of the other options in the game is managing your record label. Don't worry, it's just a few options. Mostly, you'll be going to places and getting into fights to sign new rappers and to make some cash. Now, this will change who you fight and who you fight as in certain areas, but it really doesn't change the game's ending that much overall. And not to mention, the game's storyline is actually pretty good. The game really gives you this glance of being extremely over the top and silly because of the thumping fighting sequences, the musically charged combat, and basically scratching a invisible turntable to do environmental attacks. You would think the story would just be silly, but it's not. The story is actually really well done. But what I liked more about the story was that it had fantastic voiceovers. I mean, Anthony Anderson's in the game, all of these different actors, and they do great jobs. The dialogue is still, you know, that ghetto stuff, but it really worked for the flavor of the game. And what I also really enjoyed was the motion capture. It just looked really realistic. The fighting mechanics are pretty good, but can be repetitive. Overall, Def Jam Icon gets a solid 4 out of 5.
Get your ass up.
Wait, Herc, damn, we was just talking.
Oh, man, this was a brand new shirt.
Oh, yeah? Well, you about to get blood on it if you don't step back, money.
Maybe, but it won't be mine.